Welcome, welcome, everyone. I am here with a surprise live with a very important conversation for all of you who want to make your life more sparkly. And what I mean by that is more empowered and more thriving and more joyful and more deep, more rich in all the ways. I wrote this book, Permission to Sparkle, which you might already know, might have seen. It is all about claiming your desire and sparking your dream life. And what I am doing with this call, as I have with a few others before, is I'm interviewing other leaders to pick a chapter, talk with me about the chapter and how you can make your life more awesome, more what you want. And today we have a super exciting topic. I have somebody here in the background waiting to speak with me who is an expert in manifesting. She is a manifesting coach. She's also a writing expert, and she fuses those two superpowers to help people in all kinds of high-level positions, including Mindvalley. She actually consults them and writes for them and works with multinational companies, media channels, conscious entrepreneurs in manifesting and in using words for manifesting. And I love to invite her, well, because I love her, but also because this chapter that she picked that you see here already, Permission Not to Sparkle, is actually also an important part of manifesting. So I'm going to bring her on camera here. Welcome, Shantini Rajah. How do I say your last name? Say your last name.
Rajah.
Rajah. I love you. I love you, and I love your name. And I'm so happy to have you here, Shantini. Thank you for being on the call.
Oh my gosh, Astrid, can I just like barge in here and say I love you to
Thank
pieces? I love your sparkle. I can feel it all the way. I'm like literally on the other side of the world from you. And every time we meet, I always say, and we don't meet enough. So I think to myself, how have I not met you for this long? I love you so much. Every time we meet, I want to see more and more of you. And thank you so much. I am so honored that you thought of me and you've invited me here to share your wonderful book with the world. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
You are so kind, Shantini. Thank you. The honor is all mine from queen to queen. Yes, I'm so excited. And you are in South Asia. Where are you located right now?
I am in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. We are like north of Singapore, south of Thailand, and 2 hours from Bali by flight. So
So cool.
that's
I
where
want to come there sometime and visit you.
please, please do.
That would be amazing. So I'm
Oh,
here from Switzerland, but I'm in Alaska. So we're spanning the whole globe and we're speaking to the globe. We're very excited to have all of you watchers and replay watchers. If this topic interests you to empower your life and your business and to manifest all your desires and dreams, please share the video and please stay present with us and let us know what resonates or any questions you have. We'll get to all the comments afterward. So, Shantini, I asked you what topic you were excited about when we looked at the book. You got to get a glimpse of it in the digital version and you picked the chapter Permission to Not Sparkle. Let me know what spoke to you about this chapter and what's the meaning for you in empowering people when you look at that topic?
okay. So I love that you included this chapter in your book, Astrid, because, and it kind of jumped out at me, and it might seem strange in the realm of manifesting and high vibrational frequencies and all of that wonderful, lovely, sparkly stuff to like actually give yourself permission not to sparkle. But I do feel it is a foundational pillar of creating what you desire it out, like bringing the intangible into the tangible and having your dreams and desires actually take place and happen in your life. Giving yourself permission not to sparkle is a big piece, and here's why. It's because the first thing I like to acknowledge and honor is that we are human. We may be, we are humans having an experience in this plane. And as human beings, our powers are obviously unlimited. Our ability to manifest and create is unlimited. We are beyond. I'm not going to get into the conversation of who we really are and where we come from. That's a different conversation, right? But in this human form,
Mhm.
we have been given, it is a blessing to have been given these, or rather endowed with this spectrum of emotions
Mhm.
that we have been like blessed with to feel. When I say spectrum, I'm going to say that it's the good stuff, what people think of the good stuff, which is joy and bliss and
Mhm.
peace and calm and feeling energized and all of those wonderful feelings. And on the other side of the spectrum, the bad guys, right? The sadness, grief, all of that stuff, feeling envy even, and all of that. So we tend to, when I say we, I mean us, people who love the sparkle, who want to manifest, who want to create. We have been taught to like, or told like, oh, you got to maintain the vibration at all costs. So what happens is, when you say you've got to maintain your vibration or raise your vibration, and what's often unsaid but is there within the message is at all costs. So
Mm,
what
yeah.
does all costs mean, right, Astrid? What
Mhm.
does it mean? Are we repressing? Are we suppressing? Are we ignoring?
Yeah.
But the feeling is there. The universe, as I have come to experience, and which I know you're going to agree with me on this, does the universe responds to the language of emotion, what
Mhm.
you really feel,
Mhm.
not what. And when I say this, I mean even the, so to speak, bad stuff. It is there to teach us. They are messengers. Our, so to speak, bad emotions or negative feelings are messengers trying to teach us, trying to show us what is for us and what is not for us, and even next steps and what we can and cannot do to help ourselves in the next level. So anyway, so that piece, not acknowledging that stuff, I don't want to call it a huge mistake. I'm just going to say it's going to slow down your manifesting abilities. It's going
Yeah.
to, you might even backslide, and then you end up with this, oh, I shouldn't be feeling this, I should. And all of that isn't at all helpful or supportive or high vibrational. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I want to like
I
say.
love it. And it is so, yeah, I totally agree with you. And I am so glad that you picked that chapter and that you shared that insight. Yes, it's all about authenticity and like really listening what is going on and embracing that. And then we can create sparkle from there.
Yeah.
Whatever it means. Yes, absolutely. I want to quickly check in my live because I have my phone right here to see our live here, and I want to let people know that I see you live. And so if you have any questions, you can put a comment, and I will respond, and we will both respond and address your questions as well. So I'm going to give a quick glimpse of the chapter and actually sharing an example of based on what you just said, Shantini, where you said that if we ignore it, what can happen if we ignore that and if we think we always need to sparkle? And not facing the things. So I had in this chapter. So first I'm going to read the first piece here of how this chapter can help you. Here I wrote, this is for you, actually, if you are in a really crappy spot where it feels like everything sucks or someone sucks or the world sucks, whatever's going on in your life, you are not feeling sparkly. And I feel a lot of people might resonate with that right now. Um,
Yes.
Doggone it, not sparkly, I wrote here. This chapter can help you be okay with all of that and still find exquisite sparkly gems in the fast lane. And so then I go into an example of where I was actually not feeling sparkly at all. And it was like, it was a rough time for myself. I was still in Switzerland. I was in a job I did not like. I stayed in that job because I thought I have to be there to make money. This is a safe job, and it was totally not up my zone of genius. It was in a life insurance company, and I'm this creative butterfly person, right? So
Oh
the
my
job
God.
Yeah, job felt like a dungeon to me, and I was frustrated, and I didn't have a partner, and I had a girlfriend who had a partner, and I was sleep deprived because I went dancing every weekend, kind of chasing my dreams, but not really facing my inner not sparkle feelings, but I still felt them. And so I had a moment that I'm describing here. I was in such a bad place where one morning I came to work also like kind of sleep deprived, and I went to a store, and somebody was standing in line in front of me getting a yogurt, and that person was very happy, and her being so happy triggered me so badly. I was like, how can you be so happy? I didn't tell that to her, but I felt this anger well up in me, and I was like, no.
No.
It
Yes.
was so intense, right? And so back then, I did not know all the sparkle work, the curiosity that I now use to stop and to listen to. Well, what's going on here? What are the stories I'm telling myself? It's really starting to decode what's going on. I didn't do that back then. I tried my best, but I didn't have the tools, and so I stayed in that heavy space for quite a long time, and like I made more choices that didn't get me out of it right away. So I had a bunch of repeat experiences. So to your point of manifesting what we want, like the pausing and the facing the things actually helps us
Yes.
the patterns. Do you have something that comes up for you as example, or what do you do with your clients when you do manifesting? Do you have a tool that comes up? Maybe you're like, oh, this is what we do.
Oh,
Anything you
okay.
can share?
On my okay, I'm so sorry. I'm so mesmerized by. I loved that chapter. First of all, I loved your story, and I want to say that, um, when you said that, and that was so raw and so honest and so brave to say that. Oh, this woman was like so happy with her yogurt, and I was like, oh, enough already. I so have. I mean, I know a lot of you out there, whoever's watching and listening, you're going to relate to that. There are times in our lives where it just rubs us up the wrong way. And it obviously, of course, is never the other person. They're just being happy and singing and la di da. And we are like, enough already. And that's always like an alert signal. That's a little sign that says, and not a sign to judge or criticize ourselves, but a sign to say, this is interesting. How am I being annoyed over this happy person
Yes.
or
Yeah.
this joyful whatever, right? So yeah, I want to say that that's a very powerful story, which I'm
Mm-hmm.
so glad that you included in your book. And as for your question about what do we do, I believe that a lot of our and I know this is scientifically proven as well, that a lot of what we feel is in our bodies. It
Mm-hmm.
is
Oh, yeah. Nice.
somatic, right? Which is, if you follow Louise Hay, which I'm sure you've read her, Astrid, a lot of our conditions come from these emotions, and or some people call them stuck emotions. They're stuck, they are like in our body. So when it comes to difficult or painful emotions, the our human brains are wired to resist them and push them away. So it is not wrong that we feel that we don't want to feel. We don't want to feel the bad stuff.
Right.
So when it comes to feeling and that pause, I love that you said that it's like a little pause before you move to the next level. That pause where
Mm-hmm.
it's a little dark and heavy. I like to help myself and my clients with giving themselves permission. I'll use your words, giving themselves permission to feel what they feel on a somatic level in the body,
Nice, nice.
and
That's
to find like a mini sort of reprieve and kind of like pull away from our minds and what they're telling us that it means, and
mm-hmm.
just feel into what it feels like. What is that pain that you feel? Let's say you're like mad at someone, or feel
Mm-hmm.
mad at whoever, right? Someone in your life, and it's someone you love. So you kind of interpret that into like, okay, how does that anger feel in my body? And it
Mm-hmm.
could be like a squeezing, like a tightness in your chest,
Mm-hmm.
or a squeezing feeling in your head. And
Mm-hmm.
if you you find a way to be to sit with that for
Yes.
it and just watch it, like kind of observe it, a little bit like meditation, but
Mm.
it's a little bit like in the moment sort of meditation. You will notice and get and a tip that I would add as well is to get curious. This tightness, okay, I feel it more in the center of my chest, for example, and not so much to the sides. I wonder why. Like,
Mm.
just kind of like guide yourself through that, knowing that you are in a physically safe space. Obviously, like make sure
Yeah.
you're not driving, you're
Yes.
like in a
Yes.
physically safe space and hopefully a quiet space. You can, as you guide yourself through that, you will notice sooner, actually, rather than later, that there's subtle shifts and changes that happen in that emotion, in that sorry, not the emotion but the physical sensation.
Yeah.
So
Right.
you interpret your emotion as a physical sensation, you
Mm-hmm.
can start to have some healthy detachment
Mm-hmm.
from that pain long enough to let it pass. So that's, and I find that it totally helps with the emotion itself. When you translate it into sensation and then bring it back, it
Mm-hmm.
helps to release that emotion in a helpful way. You're processing it rather than pushing it down or ignoring it or pretending.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my answer.
Love it. No, that's really beautiful. And that's one thing that I didn't do for many years, to actually pause and feel my body. I literally, like, I went into burnout because I didn't listen to it and just ignored it. I'm like, I can do this. I was only listening to my mind. And so it's a super important message. Thank you for bringing that. And it also ties to, my deeper recent healing story with cancer, breast cancer,
Yes.
stage 4, um, how I navigated through that and what I learned through that. There was a lot that actually also really guided me to my body. And one thing that was interesting for me, and this is taken an interesting additional tangent that is not directly in the book, but it can lead you there. It always leads you wherever
You need
it's
to. Yeah.
aligned for you, because the book is designed so that you listen to what it inspires you to in this very moment, and that can help you find your next heart answers forward, right?
Oh,
So
I love.
yeah, so right now what it inspires me to share is like the story at the beginning of my healing. I actually, so you said something like, where do you feel it in your body? That's a question, right? When you're angry or something. So before I got diagnosed, I actually felt a lot of pain on my chest, like right here.
Mm,
I was like, what is this pressure on my chest? I don't understand. And so I was curious, which is good. But what ended up happening, when I was going through treatment, where I had cancer, it was in my breast, and then also I had a lymph node and 2 spots in the lungs. And
mm,
so I was in an acupuncture session at some point, and I learned in traditional Chinese medicine, it's one of the modalities that actually looks at the emotions,
mm.
the body organs, and it correlates it.
Yes.
So you were just mentioning that the emotions are in our body. So that's actually something that for myself, I got curious as I was on that acupuncture table, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. So what? The lungs are all about grief? Interesting. And the breasts are all around nourishment and love and self-love.
Mm.
It's like, whoa. And so during my whole time of the healing, I got more curious about these things. And one of the views that I came across is that our emotions, we live them, but they're not, they kind of if they get dense and heavy over a longer period of time, I now believe that they actually land in our body at some point, and
Mm.
become a disease if we don't deal with them. So if we're stressed out over years and years, or depressed or whatever, or worried about something again and again, it can actually, this energy
Yes.
can land in our bodies. Like, do you have background with that also?
I would say, first of all, I agree with you 100%. I am not a trained somatic therapist at all, but I do have experiential exposure to this in
Yeah.
my own, and with, like, just as you just said, Astrid, I've worked with people in that space, in the sense
Mm-hmm.
that when they, when they share, and with like what you just shared. So absolutely,
Mhm.
I do 100% agree with you that as we continue to ignore, and I look at our body as like sort of like a divining rod, right? Like those divining rods of yore, where we use that to, like, people used to use divining rods to find water
Mhm.
in a dry space, for example, and all sorts of other magical reasons, right? The divining rods have their place in magic. And I feel the body is a divining rod for that will always and forever lead you to your true self, to your
Mhm.
true
Mhm.
path, to your true desires.
Wow.
I discovered this the hard way because, as you said, I'm a writer. I live in my head,
Mhm.
and I'm like, I love magic, so I live even outside of my head, above, in another
Fairy
plane, right?
tales, yes, I love them too.
When I lived there, and everything below my head was like, oh, I didn't pay any attention to any
Mhm.
of it.
Mhm.
And I just didn't. I just was never taught. I never thought about it, and no one taught me to do it. So
Mhm.
I'm teaching myself now. I try to bring it as much as possible into my work. It is actually not something that comes naturally to a lot of people to even feel yourself in any
Mhm.
shape or form. And one way that I like to do that is through breath.
Mhm. Mhm.
Breath.
Nice.
So I have this practice called one healing breath, where
Mhm.
you
Yes, you do. I love that one. Yes, yes.
believe that. So I use the breath. The breath, I see it as a bridge between the intangible and the
Mhm.
tangible, which is your body, right? So
Mhm.
that's also what manifesting is, the intangible into the tangible. So yeah, so I so agree. This is so fun having this conversation with you, because not everyone like is even aware of it, and you being you, Astrid, and all that you have risen above and transcended. Oh my gosh, the body is such a big piece, right?
Mhm.
That is who we are, yeah, on this
Yes,
plane.
yes. I love that you mentioned your this one tool that you have on your website, and I want to show everybody real quick. This is Shantini's website if you're curious about that and her work. So uh, one cool thing that I also want to share that came to me, that's the same topic of like how to what we can find once we do give ourselves permission not to sparkle. Meaning like, okay, so I don't sparkle. I love how you said it, like, we become curious, right?
Yeah,
So when I did that, and we don't have to get sick to get to that point. We can stop and pause anytime and be curious anytime. Well, what happened for me, I realized when I had these spots in my body, right, like, and saw the correlation to emotions, it was like I had a healing map. So my body like literally told me, for me, that was my inspiration that I got from this. It was okay, breast around nourishment. So where did I not nourish myself? Where can I learn? What can I do for self-love? And I actually took this whole journey. It was a big journey for me to actually embody self-love and learn how do I take care of myself and love myself and nourish myself. And of course, that also is an essential foundation to be a bigger leader, to do bigger things, to manifest anything. Because if I don't do that first, I don't have the oxygen mask like in the airplane, right? Like, and I can't do anything. So self-love, total foundation. That was one of the maps that I got. And then the long piece with the grief, that's also, it got me curious. Well, what can I let go? Is there any sadness or old stories? So like I say in the book, it's like you can be on the sparkle path and off the sparkle path. And what happens when, like, basically for me, that means like on the sparkle path, I walk empowered, I feel great. And like, actually sometimes we can be on the sparkle path and not feel great, but still know we're in the right place. And like, we're good. Like we're
I love
it's like I could go to chemo and be on the sparkle path, and like I might have challenges in my life and still walk strong and know, no, I got this. I feel strong and supported, and so, or I can feel as a victim and weak and whatever goes on, right?
it.
So it's not about what's happening in our world, whether we are on the sparkle path or not, but it's how we deal with it and how strong we feel in it. And so, no, I just lost my train of thought. There was something. that I wanted to share. But
You got that message out, and it's not about just being on the sparkle path. It's
yeah,
actually about how you feel inside
yeah,
and how you get yourself out of it and how you respond to what's happening to you
yeah,
in your own time. There's no rush.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, that's
Very,
what you
yeah,
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 that's what you did, Astrid.
yeah. That's that exactly. And so, oh, that. Thank you, and thanks for reflecting that.
Okay.
Um, and what I also wanted to say is when we are not sparkling is actually an amazing opportunity to catch gems.
Oh yes, oh I love that
That
concept. Yes.
really, it is because so that's the thing that's why we can show up and say like, yeah, even if the biggest shit happens, there's always, first of all, it's temporary. Everything moves in life, right? Like, and there's always something we can learn or let go or find or awareness or get stronger or something that we can later give back. So there are always some gems that come from
Yes.
it. I found like deep and powerful gems through my cancer healing journey.
I love that you say that. I love that
So
so
yeah, so it's also knowing that, and then when we know that, it's almost like you dive deep. Being the non-sparkly, you dive deep through the murky waters, and you're like, "Oh, this sucks," and blah, and where are the gems? What's happening here? And then suddenly you will find them. So yes,
much. I love
yeah,
that. Permission not to sparkle, Astrid. It's so important because a lot of us are so fixed on just being positive, and that doesn't it's that's not life, that's not real life.
no, yeah, and that was actually one of my habits that I had. It's actually the interesting thing, which also felt like was painful for me to not express the non-sparkling. Like that was actually something that I was bottling up, like this whole being a good girl. And like I was always a positive person, and like a blonde little girl, like cute little girl, like, oh, little princess, don't cry, and that kind of thing, you know um and then there's some conditioning that we can experience as we grow up, right, as women, as cute girl, like, or even men, like don't cry, like blah, be strong,
Yeah,
whatever the
right.
stories are, right? It's like, um gosh, like expressing the emotions has been like a huge learning deal for me, in this journey. That's also part of self-love. So when I feel like crap, it's like, whew, letting that out first of all, and then seeing like, oh, what can I do for myself?
Oh, I'm sorry, that was like, did you hear that? That was
I
like some
did.
guy on a bike. I'm sorry. Excited.
That's funny. It's like,
Sorry.
because I just said letting those emotions out, and then it went Darth Vader on us. It was pretty funny.
Exactly, I love that. Oh, and just to like add to what you said as well, it like to complement what you said.
Yeah,
It's that conditioning. It's like we almost take on like the good girl. Those of you who can like relate to the good boy, good girl archetype, right? It's
yeah,
like we are responsible for other people's happiness and
that's
joy.
another one. Yes.
Big one where we feel like
Yeah,
we must smile all the time or be happy and positive all the time, and yeah, otherwise you're just letting other people down, or you're making bringing everyone else down. And while we are not obviously encouraging that we go out there and just start screaming at people or ranting or spreading the like making being awful to other people, that's not at all what we mean. What we do mean is to safely and and in a healthy way process. Be
yeah,
yourself,
yeah,
be real. The universe responds to what is real about you, and it's fine to sometimes feel blue or
yeah,
sad or
yeah.
even hopeless. It doesn't mean that you're not going to be able to manifest what you desire. There's no bearing of that. In fact, that's going to help you come back and manifest from a place of strength and
Mhm.
truth. which is what we want, and love, which is what we want.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love it. Everything is simply an experience, and we could always come back on the sparkle path.
Yes, I love it. The Paco Path.
Yes.
Oh,
Oh my gosh. So we're at 30 minutes, and I had one question I want to ask you before we wrap it up that is pertaining to your work, and I'm so curious about this. So you said that you have from my, on my branding goggles, I'm seeing like you have these cool superpowers, key superpowers of writing, and then also the manifesting theme, right? And so I asked you before we got on the call, in what way do you help people? And you said that you have a program that you're about to release, that you're building, and has to do with manifesting and writing. Um,
mm.
writing for yourself and for your business, but then I asked you also, like, well, do you also use words to manifest? Which we're both doing alchemy, and we know about the power of words. So I would love for you to describe in what ways you help people manifest with words. What does that mean in your world?
Oh, thank you for asking, because that's something that's like it's a deep, deep passion, and I'm discovering recently it is part of, as they say, the sole purpose. Like, it's a purpose of my life to
Yeah.
share this. And I feel, as a writer, I have, and this is how I've manifested everything in my life, everything that I have desired in my life, and some of the extras that I didn't even know that I desired, that came to pass, that was wonderful stuff. So writing, at the end of the day, I see words as little vessels of energy.
Oh, that's exciting.
Energy, right? They carry energy. And when you write, so I'm just going to speak about writing in general first, before I touch on the business piece. So when we write, so let's assume you're writing in your journal. So that's like your private space. And so what's happening is your emotions fuel the words. The words are coming through you and from you. And a big part of that, if not all of it, is the emotions that are fueling the words to
Mm-hmm,
come forward.
mm-hmm,
So when you allow yourself, and that is why I love this chapter that we just talked about in your book, when you allow yourself the range of emotions, you're allowing, that is another very powerful way to process what's coming through, so you can lift yourself and raise yourself up higher. So the words, when you write in a journal, let's say you're mad or sad or whatever about what something that's happening, and you allow those words to be fueled, for one thing, you'll notice that when you allow your emotions to fuel your writing, the writing flows.
mm-hmm.
It's easy, and this is where I want to connect to the business piece. A lot of business owners and entrepreneurs, and spiritual entrepreneurs specifically and especially, have kind of get stuck, and like, oh, what's the right thing to say, or
Yeah.
how do I do a sales promo, and it
Yes,
feels kind of weird, I'm asking for money and all
yes,
that
yes,
stuff.
yes. Mm-hmm.
But when you write, even a sales email or a page and all of that, a sales selling your product or service or whatever, but you are writing from a place of true emotion.
Mm-hmm.
For one thing, the words are just going to, it's going to surprise you when you have, and I have certain practices that I help people with to allow that to start to happen.
Nice.
It's gonna like be an outflow, it's an outpouring of, because at the end of the day, as spiritual entrepreneurs and conscious entrepreneurs, our service and our work in the world is the how we show love.
Yeah.
we
Mm-hmm.
it's how we contribute, it's how we love people. And
Mm-hmm.
receiving money or cash or whatever payment for it is a balance. It's like the inhale and the exhale. You inhale and you exhale, everything has a balance. So the receiving of the money, which a lot of people have difficulty doing, for the love that they're sharing, feels weird. But when we use this method, when we allow the emotion to come forward and fuel everything you do in your business, especially the writing, because a
Mm-hmm.
lot of business and work is it comes through in copywriting and writing for your
Mm-hmm.
business. When you allow emotions to kind of guide you, first of all, it's easy. The next thing you'll see is people respond. people start to feel what you were feeling when you wrote those words.
Yes, yes, yes.
Now you get what I mean, right, Astrid?
I
Because you've
know
written a
exactly
book,
what you mean.
you
Yes.
know what you mean. So, but a lot of the time, people feel like this is like this. It feels like a vague concept. So I'm in the midst of creating processes and little tools, fun stuff. You'll be pleased to know it's sparkly fun tools that people can use to get into that space and write
Mhm.
even sales copy that
Mhm.
works, that attracts your perfect ideal dream clients and customers
Mhm.
in a way that is easy, and
Mhm.
dare I say it, fun.
Yes.
Right? You
Yes.
have fun doing it, you
Yep.
feel happy, you're, and even when it's a hard, when it's something difficult that you experience, but
Mhm.
because and you write from a place where maybe you're in a sad place and you want to write a blog post about a sad experience in your life. When you put it out there, when you're brave, you put it out there, people feel that, people respond to that, people feel that you get them, that you are relatable.
Yeah.
Everything will start to work. Even the, as I said earlier, the bad stuff starts to work in a beautiful way. It synthesizes into this beautiful, I want to say, synergistic way where you will start to manifest, you will attract, in the case of business clients and sales even, if it's not business, whatever it is that you do desire, because your words are fueled by your emotions. So
Mhm. I
that's
love
kind
it.
of, I know it's still kind of vague, but I'm trying my best to
No,
like
it's
kind
awesome.
of.
I get it, and maybe I can visualize it for. So I think in visuals, and I get it. So it's almost like if you allow. That's how I see it, and you can tell me if you see it the same way. So I'm
I
gonna
love it.
do a quick drawing for you.
Oh, I love this. Do it, do
So,
it.
so I see it like this. Hang on, let me get here.
I love this. It's alive.
Yes, it's alive. Okay, so we have here's your soul and universe wisdom and like what your soul wants, right? And so we get that's when we listen to our heart. We start hearing that. This is a stick figure person. So when we pause, we actually hear our hearts and what our soul wants. And sometimes we feel it through our body first when we're like, oh, I feel like crap. I feel shit. Like what's going on, right? But when we pause, our body tells us, oh, you actually feeling angry because you didn't feed yourself all day or whatever. Right, so we hear anyway, so it comes to the heart, and so when we're connected with that heart emotion, and we speak from that emotion, then we have the same energy that we basically pass on to other people. So we speak, right, so we speak from that, and then here's the other people who also want that. Here's another stick figure, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I feel exactly this
Yes.
way." And that's when we're connecting with people. So you help people connect with their heart and speak through the heart and land it with the people.
Oh, that is perfect.
Yeah,
As Oh
that,
my gosh, that is so perfect. Thank you. I love that.
you're
I love that
welcome.
piece.
You're
Oh,
welcome. And that's yeah.
that's
So I
exactly it.
and if what here's I can expand that even if as spiritual entrepreneurs when it's not working
Yes.
them okay, I'll do one more graphic. Um, there we go. So if as spiritual entrepreneurs we are here, let me see that I need another color for this.
I love
So,
that you have all of your pens right there at your
of course,
fingertips.
I'm a creative person. So here's a spiritual entrepreneur. If we're here and we have our soul's desire up here, right? But when we get in our head and we are like, oh my gosh, this is when we get off the sparkle path. Um, then we start going like, mind stories, and we're just in our head and like, this is terrible. Nobody will love what I say. This is scary. What I do is vulnerable, and they will judge me or whatever. They don't want to know that I do tarot decks or whatever the heck we're telling ourselves. that will be alone, broke, and abandoned. All the terrible things. And I'm laughing because I've been there. And it's funny when you're on the other side. It's not funny when you're in it. But anyway, those are mind stories that are actually not true. So what's the difference between those two is it's two things. It's like, okay, so I'm gonna quickly give a bit more space here. Actually, I'm gonna quickly do my spotlight and then I'll come back to you. So we have these two sides, right? Like, so this is the flow. This is no, not this one. This one is actually where you connect and your message gets out to the world, and it's really powerful. And that's what Shantini also helps you with. And here's when we're not on the sparkle path and we're just not giving ourselves permission to sparkle and we're not listening to our heart, right? So that's the before. But as soon as we start listening to our heart, here we pause, we listen to our heart, and then we can start finding the next steps forward and also get back on the sparkle path, because then we connect to our soul's desires, and also then we can come back to our mind and say, like, okay, now I know what my heart wants. And I know what my mind stories are because I paused to look at them, and then I can use my mind in a constructive way to help me make them happen. Right? So.
Oh my gosh, perfect! Yes, absolutely. And that's where structure in your writing, for example, comes in, and all of that. But that's at the end.
Yes,
not at the start, which is people just start with that, which is one of the reasons why I have nothing against templates and all of those cheat sheets in writing and all of that stuff. I have nothing against them. They're great. But that's not where you start at all. Because when you allow yourself to, as you said, I love that artwork. I love that you just came up with that. You're so magical. So, you know, when you have that, when you connect with what you truly want, who you truly are, others feel seen, heard, and understood. When you are brave enough to be yourself out there. And that's going to bring all of the other lovely things into your life, you know. And that's true whether you're an entrepreneur or not. Even if you're not an entrepreneur, that's true. Being yourself. So, oh my gosh, this was so much fun. Oh my God, look at that. Oh.
The cool thing is, so this is a visualization, I guess, of the sparkle path deal, which is an illusion, right? Like it's just we're living basically in those mind stories and think those are true and we're alone and this is not happening and everything sucks. But this is actually the truth when we do face those stories. That's how you get onto the sparkle path. So and that's when you get into the heart, that's when you will get into that flow. And this is always there. Those people are already there who want what we have, right? And like you said, like those are the ones who have probably the same the same painful stories that we at some point went through. So now when we everything is perfect timing and it's all good. There's nothing, no right or wrong, but this is possible.
It is so possible. I've seen it happen in unbelievable ways, which we will save for another conversation.
Yes, it's amazing.
Over the time, oh my God, we had so much fun. Look at us, Astrid. We could keep talking.
Keep talking. I love it. Yes. So what I do want to say to guide people to Shantini, so you have specifically people who want to experience this flow in writing and manifest what you want and like express your copy in a powerful way and manifest whatever dream client and life you want, right? You have people like that. You find her on Shantini Rajah. Did I say it right?
Right, Rajah.
Rajah.com. That's where she's at. And for me, I am on this website, astridmuller.com. There you find my book and more about how you can make your life and your business more sparkly. And there's a bunch of cool things there. I help people also with empowerment and bringing joy with joy. That's like one of the catalysts that I help people step into, like the bigger game with their business. I can visualize it in design, and I do creativity workshops to help people hear their hearts, to heal, make it through cancer and things like that. So I have one exciting thing that I'm inviting people to right now is the fan club of Sparkle.
Oh, wow.
And that is simply, not simply, it's magically my newsletter, which gives you front row access to all the things that I do. And if you want more sparkle in your life, that's where you get to sign up, and it's on my website. So, yes. Okay. So,
Oh
thank you so much, Shantini, that you were with us. I loved your wisdom. I love where the conversation went because you were present.
my God.
Thank you for
Oh,
your
Astrid,
contribution.
thank you for all of what you put out there and for that shine and that sparkle and that brilliance that is who you are, which
Thank you.
as I said at the start, I can feel all the way across the planet. I can feel it. So I love you and I want to say thank you for everything. Thank
Oh, thank you, Shantini. Receiving, and thank you to oh, big celebration. So everyone, we let you go. You find more on our website. Thank you for having watched or watched replay. Ask any questions you have in comments. We love hearing from you, anything that resonates or questions. And share this video. If you feel it was useful, share it along. There are a lot of people out there right now who can use inspiration, empowerment, especially if they're not in a space of feeling sparkly right now. Permission not to sparkle, send that to them. And then if they're curious, they can find out of that space. Awesome. So I'm going to end the live, and you can stay live with me here behind the scenes because we got more to do. Bye, everyone.
Bye.